All right, it's finally time. Let's talk about the potential of Vasili Podkolzin. Now, I said earlier in the month that not the month, it's August, last month, that I would probably make a few videos about Podkolzin, and so far I already have. I had the video of my draft reaction to Podkolzin. I talked about Podkolzin in our draft recap for the Vancouver Canucks. I also made a full-on video talking about the shock of Vasili Podkolzin, but I never really made a full in-depth perspective commentary on what I believe is the potential for Vasili Podkolzin. So, because I don't want to drag things out, let's just get straight underway with it. To me, Vasili Podkolzin, drafted at 10th overall by the Vancouver Canucks, I believe his ceiling is very, very high. In my opinion, if he maxes out to his utmost 100% best case scenario potential, we have ourselves an elite player who's capable of playing first-line minutes, leading a team, and just totally dominating the game with his style of play. He'd be able to score upwards of 40 goals in a season, maxing out at around 70-ish points, 75 points throughout his seasons, and yeah, that's pretty much what I'm labeling him as. I see him more of a goal scorer than an assist guy. And that's something that's been quite indicative throughout his past year playing for different versions of Team Russia, specifically at the Hlinka Gretzky tournament a year ago. Podkolzin is a guy who has a ceiling that goes through the roof because the translatable factors of his game are so strong. And in this, I mean his overall straight-line speed, his intensity, his drive, work ethic, all of these things combined into this player, alongside of his 6'1", 190-pound frame. He's an absolute freight train out there. And when you watch his highlights, when he's dominating and he's at his best, he's a bulldog. He's a lion. These are some of the nicknames coined by guys like Craig Button and Will Scouching, talking about Podkolzin as an absolutely vicious beast out there on the ice. And this, alongside of his leadership and his overall drive to succeed, is going to make him a lovable player in the locker room. Podkolzin has so many aspects to his game that would make him a coach's dream. And the sky is the limit when it comes to the potential of this player. However, when I made a video a year ago, talking about the potential of Quinn Hughes, I said that he has a top 2 defenseman level upside, and I was very certain about that. When I made a video 2 years ago, at the beginning of the 2017-18 season, about Elias Pettersson, and I said that he has the potential to be the next Forsberg because the hype around him was that strong, not just in Vancouver but in Sweden, I was very certain about what I was talking about then too. The only difference here is that the certainty with Podkolzin is definitely not at that level. Because a year ago, I could sit there and confidently say with a big smile on my face, yeah, Quinn Hughes has top 2 potential, he has 60-point potential, he's really, really gosh darn good. And I said the same thing about Pettersson, and I said, yeah, people all over the media in Sweden are saying he's amazing and he's the next Forsberg. But I can't say that about Podkolzin with the same amount of certainty. Because, case in point, Podkolzin, outside of his international play, has not shown us, thus far, the necessary attributes towards being a consistent scoring winger at the NHL level. He has those tools. He has the ability to do that. But he's a victim of circumstance. Take a look at this. So, Vasili Podkolzin, he played on 5 teams this past season. He played on SKA St. Petersburg in the KHL, he played in their VHL team, their MHL team, and then he played for the Russian U18 team and the Russian U20 team. Overall, Vasili Podkolzin, out of all of those 5 teams that he played for, he scored himself 28 goals and 53 points in 74 games. Now, overall, that's a pretty solid draft year. If that was in the OHL, that would be like 2nd, 3rd round caliber talent. But Podkolzin was all over Russia, and he didn't have any time to really stabilize himself and adapt to the game that was in front of him. Taking a look at this Vancouver article, Podkolzin averaged 3 minutes and 30 seconds per game in his 3 KHL games. In the VHL, which is just the league underneath the KHL, he averaged 12 minutes per game in the regular season and only 7 minutes per game in the playoffs. Overall, he was a victim of circumstance, which is why, taking a look at it on paper, yes, a guy like Vitali Kravtsov had an amazing draft year in comparison to Podkolzin. Podkolzin's draft year was significantly subpar in contrast to Vitali Kravtsov just by the numbers, and Kravtsov went 9th overall. But Podkolzin, going forward into the next season, he's really going to have an opportunity here to showcase himself full-time at the KHL. And if he's getting more than 3 minutes of ice time per game, I'm expecting, like 10 points in the 50 games that they play there in the KHL. If Podkolzin gets like 10 minutes of ice time per game, I think he's getting much more points than however many he could have gotten if he stuck there with 3 minutes, because that's not enough for development. So, Podkolzin going into the next season, that's going to be the time where we can really start to put a label onto his potential. Because, as I said at the beginning, the ceiling is high. He has 40 goal potential if his ability to score goals at will by driving to the net hard and beating out guys on the wing translates. If that translates to the NHL and he's able to dominate teams like he did the Hlinka Gretzky a year ago, then we have ourselves a very, very special player in Vancouver and the best Russian player since Pavel Bure. Now, I'm not saying he could be as good as Pavel Bure, I'm saying he'll be the best one since. Because Mogilny was here, but Mogilny left earlier and Bure was here longer, so I'm gonna say Bure. Who else do we have for Russians? Sergei Shirokov? Nah. But Podkolzin legitimately does have a chance to showcase that the potential he has is real, and the potential he has is translatable, and the first step is the KHL next season, and then the KHL after that, and then the NHL in 2 years. Because Podkolzin, to me, he's an NHL player. He's going to be in the league because of his straight line speed, because of his work ethic, because of his overall approach to the game, the way he's able to get the puck from other players, the way he's able to hunt guys down. And I say hunt guys down like he's the Punisher or something, because that's really what he does. And overall, that aspect of his game, it paints an NHL talent. But to what extent? Are we going to get a Podkolzin who will dominate the game like the Hlinka Gretzky, or a Podkolzin who's only really sufficient for about 12 minutes of ice time per night, just like he had in the VHL where he only got 5 points in 14 games? Either or, Podkolzin is an NHL player, and I think that's going to happen eventually. He's going to step into the lineup once his KHL deal is over. I don't think he'll need Utica time, but these next 2 years are really going to allow us to see whether or not we will get the Podkolzin that can dominate at will. So far, because of his draft year, which was limited by circumstance, I can't confidently say, yes, he will be this 100% sure. I could do that with Quinn Hughes, because I know he was going to be really good. Everyone kind of saw that he was going to be really good despite being small. I could have done that with Pettersson. I kind of held the horse a little bit because I knew it was a little bit crazy to call people the next Forsberg, but Swedish media people were saying that, and I was talking about that aspect of Pettersson's draft career and his draft stock too. But Podkolzin is different. I can't say the same thing about him, but I hope in a year after his first year in the KHL, I hope he gets 10, 20 points, 20 points, 25 would be amazing. I hope I can look at that and say, heck yes, boys, Vasili Podkolzin is going to be everything we wanted him to be, and more. 40 goal potential, 70 point potential. He has that ceiling, but whether or not he's going to be able to reach that, it's all up for debate, but overall I think it's very much up in the air right now. We have to wait and see. There's no certainty here, but overall, Podkolzin is definitely one of my most intriguing prospects that we've had in a long, long time. I really just can't wait to see what he does, because I want to see this guy do so well, man. I want to see this guy prove to us that he should have been a top 4, top 5, top 6, top 7 talent, but that he slipped to Vancouver as a gift. We've done a few things like this in the past. We had Quinn Hughes last year, so I hope we can have the same thing with Podkolzin. And for the most part, so far, we can say that, yeah, it kind of did happen like that, because Podkolzin was supposed to go third for the majority of the year up until like the last 2 months before the draft, and then he dropped down a lot of people's draft boards, which was crazy, but he's a Vancouver Canuck now, and I'm very much looking forward to it. Hope you enjoyed this video. Social 99, and bye.